You're a fraud.
You're a liberal hack.
Good stuff.
So you just watched it, did you?
Yeah, I just saw them. So I saw it.
Were you excited?
Flex. Oh, not really. Was there much of a yearning for this one? I suppose enough people have seen it. I've seen the ads.
I don't think, like, before it was announced, I don't think people were like, geez, it'd be good if they did a sequel.
Yeah. I heard the director, what he did was he sat Warner Brothers and the producers down and he wrote Twister on a on a whiteboard and then put the S with a $sign at the end. And then it got greenlit, the movie.
And they kicked him out.
So it was a must. It was a needed sequel. After watching the first Twister, you were obviously yearning for that second, like winning a cathartic kind of end to the story.
I was thinking, what's next for the Tornadoes? They had an EF5. I was disappointed that they didn't, because I guess in the first one they're like, yeah, Category 5, and I was hoping, even though it probably doesn't exist in real life, that they would go, this one's a Category 6. It's just like a classic. That would have, because that's what it was kind of going for, right? Like old school blockbuster, and the old school blockbuster sequel would have gone. Doesn't matter like what is in reality. It would have been like Category 6. That's what we're dealing with in this one. And then the third movie would have been like Category 10, and it would have none of the same actors.
And then they jumped to Sharknado from there.
Exactly.
Naturally. And combine the universe. Now, look, so I don't know if anyone was really like jumping out of their chair to watch this film. Was it worth making this film? Also, I don't know. To be honest, I don't think anyone's going to be like in 10 years' time, yeah, Twisters was like such an underrated blockbuster.
Yeah, I don't think people are going to be going back to it like they are with Twister. And kind of being like, oh, how great was that? You know, Bill Paxton, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Helen Hunt, Carrie Elwes. That was such a fun movie. You know, cows flying around in the sky, all kinds of crazy adventures and fun scenes. It feels, like it was trying to emulate that, obviously. But it is certainly lacking the juice. That's a good way to put it. Based on a story by Joseph Kosinski, who I think he did Top Gun Maverick, which is obviously a good movie, but I think that was mainly a Tom Cruise movie, and Kosinski was like, yeah, I'll do, whatever Tom wants me to do. I saw another one of Joseph Kosinski's movies called Only the Brave about this firefighter.
No. Oh, it's the firefighters. Yeah. I think I've seen it too.
Where they all die.
I think so. Yeah.
Story. I thought that movie was pretty crap. Like it took like a real life story and then just kind of injected it with kind of gross soap opera melodramatic elements to it, which is not necessary for like a true story like that. It's already sad enough. You don't need to fill it with shit. So Kosinski is, I think, a bit of
another film I watched recently.
Oh yeah,
starting with Ungentlemanly.
Oh, yeah.
We can maybe do a quick shout of that after.
Yeah,
even if it is giving it some kind of well, it's not really, but just like
giving it a set.
We need to add our voice to the haters, I think. Anyway, look,
because it hasn't got enough hate. Yeah, but we'll stick to Twisters for now.
Twister, the original, like, to be honest, it's not even that good of a film. Like I struggled to like really, it's not right. Like it's a legacy. You watch sequel. It and you're like, why have I watched this 10 times?
Yeah, I went to watch it.
Really getting from it. It's nice. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Just quickly, I went to watch it in the lead up to this one because I'm like, oh man, I haven't seen that in ages. And then I realized I'd watched it like 18 months ago, and I'm like, yeah, I don't need to watch this again. Like it's been like maybe twice, 3 times. I mean, if you watched it when you were a kid as well, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's not really one that I have a lot of affection for. It is kind of that mid-tier, like 6, 7 out of 10 blockbuster.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That used to be like, they were enjoyable because we used to have just like, 10 of them a year, and you just always had something to go see. And it just kind of into the whole
the rear mirror of cinema. Okay, that was a 95 kind of
but now
movie, and
now it's like this one is an event. It's they're posing it as like this is the blockbuster of the summer, which the original wasn't, and this just isn't either.
Yeah, well, they're shooting high. Obviously, they're shooting for the moon instead of having a realistic expectation for the film. So I think, you know what, it probably worked. Would we have reviewed Twisters without the sort of like press? And
no,
I think it kind of worked in just getting people to like, all right.
Yeah. It tricked people into being like making it a movie event in the way they were kind of pushing it in the way that not quite on the level of like Oppenheimer and Barbie, but in that vein of, or Top Gun Maverick maybe is more the appropriate legacy sequel, blockbustery kind of not caveat, but equivalent. But it's not that at all. So they did do a good job of, I guess, tricking all of us into.
Yeah, I feel like Top Gun Maverick's probably like the exception to the rule of ill-timed sequels being any good. So like, sequels 20-something plus years later.
Yeah.
I think that's honestly the one time, maybe Blade Runner 2049 if you've decided that you like
I like
me again. But
that's the one.
I think that stands out, and also Top Gun Maverick as sort of being able to really tap into, we don't want to do a review about these two movies, but being able to tap into the source material, but with having something fresh to say. So you got to satisfy both. I suppose what like categories there. So you got to have something new to say, and you got to tap in and sort of be faithful to the source or the original film,
or like try to evoke the feeling that the first gave us.
Thematically, plot, not exactly like rinse repeat plot, but something like it's got to have the same feel. Yeah, that's right. And so so for me, Twisters, it doesn't nail anything. Like it doesn't really, and it doesn't know what it's saying. Like I don't think
it's not saying anything. Yeah.
But like the plot, right? It sort of jumps between doing one thing to another thing. There's no real sort of like, why are they doing this? Like it's sort of just insert just an ending just to end it.
Yeah,
it doesn't really.
It tries to find a reason to exist or something to say, but it doesn't really have it. It kind of. Obviously, it wants to have the tornadoes, right? And so they work backwards from it being a movie about tornadoes, and they can't do the exact same plot as the first time. So there's, a different plot about, this businessman trying to take over the land of people who are, and they don't go into that enough. Like
no, they don't. It's just said, yeah.
And they try to maybe play it too straight, whereas it would have been maybe more enjoyable if they went a bit more B grade with it and have him be like a really big evil character, because they almost do that. He's got like the bolo tie and the big stupid 10-gallon hat or whatever they're called, and he's got like a white suit, and he's supposed to be like an evil contrary businessman. I'm just coming into town to help the people,
taking the land off you folks for a dime and a nickel.
Back on your feet. Let me just buy that land. But they don't really do that. And that would have been a lot more fun if they did. And which brings me into the kind of bit that annoyed me most about the movie is trying to establish like the good guys and the bad guys of the movie. And the good guys of the movie are like, oh, we can't just be doing this for our own selfish purposes and, taking advantage of people. We need to help people in this situation. So there's a bunch of moments in the movie where they're like, no, we need to stop doing the thing that we're here for to go help the town in this natural disaster. But it's just like
it's contradictory. I think because
people.
Sorry,
there's like 4 people, and they're like, we need to go help this town of 50,000 people, or we're immoral. And all they do is they're running around the streets, yelling at people that they have to go inside when there's a tornado happening around them, and it's very clear that everybody has to go inside. So the big like moral action, heroic moments of the movie is when Glen Powell's just like running around to people on the street being like, you need to go inside. And I'm not sure why they're not going inside.
Yeah, no, it's weird. There's where are the police?
Where are the emergency services? Yeah.
There was no literally there's no emergency services, firemen. Why are there no basements in Oklahoma?
No,
it's
it's
like
just
the one place you have to have them. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. it's just the YouTube storm chasers that are apparently marshalling the entire city, and nobody in the city seems to understand when they can see that there's the biggest tornado that they've ever seen. And every news station is running stories for a week ahead of time saying this is the big storm of the century week where there's going to be a million tornadoes. Everybody's just standing in the streets and like looking at the tornado and refusing to go inside until Glen Powell just drags them inside.
Tells them it's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, no, it's all silly. It's just, and it's not really earned, that sort of payoff. There's a lot of, we could honestly, we can probably just do it, just talk about the entire movie, like just nitpick everything that's shit about it, because it really does add up to make it a really poor score for me.
Yeah.
Another, like, speaking of like sort of forcing, like,
I think
forcing us into, forcing us, cinema goers into watching this Twisters. Like, you forced me to watch this film. I never was going to watch it. What about Glen Powell? Is he not? Is he a bit forced at this point? Like, is he Jai Courtney 2.0?
Oh, he's not that bad, but he is. There's something that's not quite there, because the movies that he's in and he himself they're kind of telling us he's a movie star instead of just him being a movie star, right? There's something like weirdly self-conscious about it. He has like a handsomeness that's kind of too handsome, where it reads as villainous. And so it's very hard to, I mean, here was what I thought. I'm like, okay, so like Tom Cruise is the leader of a cult, and we still watch his movies and love him, right? If anything weird came out about Glen Powell, we'd be like, all right, that's enough Glen Powell. We won't watch any more movies from him. He doesn't have that level of star power. And there's something self-conscious, forced about it.
It's Armie Hammer, right? Like,
no, he was actually a real star.
No, I don't know.
He got cancelled around the cancellation.
Yeah, I don't know. I got to disagree. I think he was just sort of like in the same vein, just being forced a little bit. I don't think he was in anything. Okay, I know, call you by, but that's probably the one film where he had, where he played two people. Obviously, the Winklevoss twins in Social Network.
That was good.
It was okay.
He was good in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., I thought. I think if the same thing happened with Glen Powell, he wouldn't, because Armie's doing like a resurgence tour at the moment. He's on like Bill Maher and he's coming back, and there are people out there who are kind of like, and that's the thing. He was even if he wasn't, he was in everybody's mind a cannibal, and there's still so many people who are like, come on, let's maybe give him a second chance. But Glen Powell, I really think would be not.
That's how I want to come back from though. Eating.
It's
people.
A very, very.
That's like Kevin Spacey is almost like, yeah, good luck, buddy.
Yeah, that's right.
Good luck. No, yeah. Anyway, look, I think another trope is the sort of that's sort of bland. It's not bland. Like, I don't want to say she's bland, but the sort of main character just having.
She's bland. She's horrible.
She's bland. I thought I was being mean, but I agree.
If we're talking about Glen Powell, she's much worse. I don't understand why she is in the movie. Like, why is Hollywood been like? She's the most normal, like, kind of nothing character and actor I've seen in some time. It's not like I hate her. It's just like I was like, and the movie
I'm sure she could be good. I've got a problem with her character only. Like,
the character.
She's probably not been given a great script, but the script relies on everyone basically telling her she's awesome and great and amazing and coming, like, she doesn't drive any of it. It's like everyone's sort of like, she's a circle of the tornado, and everyone's just kind of like, circling around her like she's the best thing. So, it's just so there's no chemistry there. Like, at least Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, they had that, and it was effortless for them. Like, that was, you didn't need to convince us that Helen Hunt was amazing by telling her she's an amazing scientist every single shot. She just was sort of like, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't require that kind of level of affirmation. But so yeah.
I thought the same. I mean, I've never seen her in anything else. She was in the Normal People TV series. So, like, I don't know if she's good in other movies with better material. And admittedly, she wasn't given good material here. But also, by that same token, but also, like, I mean, you see, and not everybody can be one of the greats, but people can be given crap, essentially, and still they're really enjoyable to watch. And I just found her not like particularly annoying or anything, just like very, very boring. And again, it could be the character, but I think it's her acting. I think she doesn't really bring anything to the movie. Maybe she can match the level of the material, but she certainly doesn't elevate it.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's a guy named Brandon Perea. I'm just looking up. So he was in. So, for example, I loved his acting in Nope. Right. So his character was Angel. Sorry, Angel. If you remember from Nope, the really funny kind of charismatic guy from the sort of IT tech store. Anyway, I liked him.
Oh yeah. I liked
him. But
in
this film, he was just wasted. Like his character was just one of Glen Powell's mates.
He was He was. I totally didn't even think of him at all.
You know what I mean? Like
he was just like
he's forgettable,
boring side character. Very, very forgettable.
Yeah,
but I really liked him in Nope as well. Yeah, exactly. That's he was my favorite part of Nope almost.
Yeah. Seriously.
And that was the thing about this movie is, the characters were quite bad, obviously. It did kind of do a funny thing, and I kind of, at the start of the movie, it introduced all these teenagers, and we were both, Meigs and I were watching it, and we were both just like, these guys really suck. And then I was like, it would be funny if they like introduced them just to kill them all off, and then they did, which was great. I did enjoy that they just, all these characters that suck killed them off. But then when the actual sort of main cast showed up, I was like, oh, thank God, they're actual adults. They're not like 20-year-olds. They're like, there was a bald guy, and I was like, yes, good. We need to have normal, regular characters. Like, where's the Philip Seymour Hoffman character, But then it sort of didn't deliver on that either. There was, and particularly like the third guy of this bizarre love triangle, which is so funny. He's just completely neutered the whole movie. And at the end, he's like, after being in love with her, I guess, the whole movie, he's like giving Glen Powell permission to sleep with her or something. It's the strangest thing. It's so funny when they're sharing like a romantic moment at the airport, and the camera sort of cuts. So, but he's still standing there. This third guy's like a foot away, but the camera just cuts off him.
She's given her nothing the entire film too.
Yeah.
She's given Tyler, that's Glen Powell's character, he's been chasing her like a fucking storm. And she's just like, not interested, buddy.
Yeah, she's not interested in anything.
That's the chemistry. Like, there's just no interest.
She doesn't even seem to really be interested in tornadoes. Like,
yeah, exactly. Don't get.
And you could tell the mother character Moratini was, I think, supposed to be Helen Hunt, and she didn't want to do it, and so they just had to get a different actor. Helen Hunt was going to be her mother for sure. That was going to be the tie-in. But
yeah. I was thinking where one of the characters was going to come in. Obviously, it can't be Bill Paxton.
Yeah, sadly. I was just watching Aliens yesterday, and man, that was a treat. Bill Paxton. Speaking of, pluralized aliens. Sequels, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Much so better. Warner Brothers absolutely on the money with this one. They loved the pitch. I was going to say, what else? There was something else that happened. I lost my train of thought. Completely lost it.
Yeah, we were talking about the characters. But look, okay, well, let's talk about some positives while you kind of maybe possibly.
Yeah, I got some more negatives to say, so definitely, yeah. Let's
the positives are that it was like most of the tornado scenes, which there are a fair chunk of them, are pretty fun. They were thrilling, enjoyable. The CGI wasn't sort of like egregiously annoying, even though it is all CGI essentially.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think we've both seen the same. Let's call it a tweet where they showed a real tornado that looks like a CGI kind of like.
No, I haven't seen it. Was it about?
Anyway, so there's a tweet that shows a tornado, just like a high res tornado, and it looks like just some shitty Marvel CGI, and it's like, oh, okay, so they're doing their best. So the CGI is
nailed it.
I actually didn't really mind it. There's a couple of good shots too.
Like
after one of the one of the sort of like towns just getting absolutely swept under that big sort of passing shot with the helicopter as they get out of the pool. If you remember,
out of the pool, and they see how big the thing that fell into the pool was that almost hit them. Yeah, I also caught that shot and enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is sprinkled with little bits of like, oh, that's pretty cool, or that's kind of sweet to see. Like that was like a inspired. Actually, in the same scene, the lady holding her daughter, if you remember, again we're in spoiler territory, so sorry.
I mean, it's not really one you can spoil. I don't think there's a spoiler in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, like if we talk about,
we're in spoiler territory. All right, we're in spoilers. Try to spoil it.
Where she's saying to her daughter, you're like, I've got you. Which obviously was the same thing that was said to her at the start of the film, but it didn't feel like cheap in a way that normally it is cheap. It felt like a mother really just saying, look, it's all fine, and just just praying it's all gonna be fine. Like that scene felt pretty nice.
Some of because they do try to make it serious, like
I made it sound super cheesy, I bet, but yeah, no.
That movie is doing that. It's trying to be like, this is a real thing that affects real people, and the sort of impetus of the movie is that she's trying to figure out a way to kind of deconstruct, cut off tornadoes as they're happening to prevent natural disasters and people dying and stuff. So they do a little bit of that, and sometimes it works, sometimes it's cheesy. That particular moment I thought did work as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So the thing I remember, what I was going to say. So even from the first movie, like I can't get over just how retarded the job is. Like just going storm chasing, and then I remember just the first movie was just about getting these balls of things. Tornado for the data.
It's made up shit.
It's all but it's just, but like it's like they're catching a wave or something like that, and then they're like, "Yeah, woo, this is so cool. We're storm riding," and then it blows through a town. Like, oh man, that really sucks. Like, that's just the worst thing.
This is like nature, Mother Nature. You got to respond.
Yeah. Get real sometimes. It's just like, I hate that so much.
Yeah. They do a lot of that. It's too much, and that's where they try to draw the emotional heart of the movie from. But then the rest of the movie is them like riding in to the tornado with like bull horns on their big truck, and they're playing country music. Yeah, and they're going woo. So it's very tonally inconsistent.
Yeah. That's it. It's all of it's inconsistent.
Which sometimes blockbusters can do that though, where it's like having fun and then also hitting you with some serious, because that's what you actually want in a blockbuster. But this, because it is contrived, because it's trying to emulate a type of movie that just doesn't exist anymore. The blockbuster has evolved since then.
Yeah, so let's talk about notable examples where it definitely makes that dance incredibly. Well, I think we both think, say, Armageddon is able to toe that line between this is fun and like pretty serious, like the whole world's going to blow up.
And then riding the nuclear warhead like a horse, and then Bruce Willis sacrificing himself to save Ben Affleck. Those happen in the same movie.
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous, but like they both work.
Works.
Like
it works so well.
Same, I think. What was another one? Independence Day. I think. Yeah, kind of poses similar. It sort of plays it with a straight bat, and then like with the president's speech, but then also has a lot of fun punching an alien. Welcome to Earth.
I mean, when the wife of Will Smith comes out of the tunnel, and it's basically been a nuclear holocaust on the city. It's quite a serious moment, and then but it also has fun with it. And that is that's the blockbuster. I mean, Jurassic Park is a fun ride, has some serious moments too. This is the 80s and 90s is when that blockbuster existed. And you can't have that level of silliness now, I suppose, as in that blockbuster. Because now blockbusters are like Avatar, and Marvel and Interstellar and Tenet. I mean, let's go through all the Nolan ones. It's either like
high
Star
budget,
Wars. I mean, but you look when Star Wars tries to do, and it doesn't work anymore. And I don't know, maybe it's like the technology has evolved, and movies look different and they feel different. I think part of like Twister, like the original, it's kind of like it feels lower budget. It feels lower stakes in a way, so you can kind of have fun with it. Whereas now it's like, it's a $250 million movie. So I just don't buy that you're kind of having fun with it. It's all contrived. And so it doesn't really work in this movie, it did cost $155 million to make. So it doesn't have that kind of folksy charm of the older blockbusters, which are having fun. It's like they're forcing the fun.
So yeah, that's a pretty big budget. I wouldn't have guessed it to be that much. So I imagine there was a lot of that was the setting up the destructive kind of scenes, like action shots, which it's kind of annoying that they cost so much, and obviously that's why.
But that's good.
Usually directors will just cheap out and just make it all CGI, just to sort of pad it in the background. But
they had whole sets that were like whole towns essentially that were like sets.
Yeah. So another positive is that like there were quite a lot more moments than I would have expected that weren't CGI heavy.
It's pretty much just the tornadoes that were CGI, and there was a lot of physical effects outside of that. So credit, and that's the thing. It is in a lot of ways doing the right things and trying to be a movie that people want to see, rather than a lot of movies these days, which are not movies that anybody wants to see. It's movies that a committee or like a corporate board has decided that we want to see. So credit, but then also it's like
it still has that kind of hanging off it too, which maybe that's not the director's fault. Like that's Warner Brothers saying this is what we need. We need to have a love triangle. It's like, why? Just we need it. I've seen Hunger Games, and people love that, so put it in. It's just like stupid stuff like that.
But no kiss.
Yeah, no kiss. Yeah, no sex. Can't have that in the movie.
Which is crazy. Like
no romance.
And I think that kind of there's no chemistry between the two. There's nothing visceral about it. Apart from some of the tornado chases, they can kind of be a bit visceral. But yeah, look, I just think overall it's got too many dumb elements for it to be really enjoyable. Because it's not just nitpicks. It's like these characters aren't acting in a way that makes sense to me. It's like and in a way that's even more annoying than how I'm describing it. It's like I can accept a suspension of disbelief, but even within this movie where there is a suspension of disbelief, these are still human beings who are supposed to make human decisions and choices and stuff, but they don't. They make screenplay decisions, and like we were saying with the whole like impetus, the heroic moments, the good guys versus bad guys stuff, like all the entire final act essentially is just Glen Powell and his crew deciding to go help people by running around the streets, and then the other side who are the bad guys, and they're the bad guys because they're not running around the streets telling people to go inside, which is like there's no emergency services. So it's just, it doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. It's just annoying me a lot.
But they had to really reinforce that they are the bad guys by saying, we don't care about the people. Like he had to say that, otherwise the audience wouldn't really be able to understand, like, what are they doing? Why? What are the emergency services? No, they don't care about people.
But then there's a big tornado that catches on fire, and that looks really cool. So I'm having fun again and trying not to think about every other aspect of the movie. Basically, I like the tornado scenes. Glen Powell, I think he just needs to start playing against his handsomeness a little bit rather than leaning into it.
So maybe kind of like Chris Hemsworth, like how he kind of
great,
or use it as a bit of a like a plot point, like like a funny thing that he's a big dumb guy or something like that.
Yeah, whereas the character like kind of knows he's really handsome, and the character is kind of like putting on a show as a handsome guy, but you're still supposed to like him, even though he's playing kind of like a dickhead role.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that it's like he's supposed to be introduced as a dickhead, and then you like him later. But I think he's just kind of like a dickhead character the whole way through, and yeah, it's because of his handsomeness and his sort of charisma. Like he's putting it on.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think despite like he's probably the best in the movie.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, like it's just that's the thing. Like we you don't like him that much, but he's probably given the best material out of all the other actors as well.
I thought the Superman guy was not bad either.
That's great.
What's his name? David Corrin Sweat. He was the sort of handsome guy who was always being like, "Yeah, we're the bad guys."
Oh, him. Oh, yeah. He didn't have many lines though. He had to say at the end, "I'm the bad guy. This is a decision I'm making is a bad guy decision." I
don't know. I like the way he played him, especially because I know he's going to be Superman, and he's like he's going to be a really good kind of charming guy, and in this one he's like just a slimy piece of shit. He's really playing up the piece of shit thing, and I think he did a good job of that. I don't know. He's minor character, so whatever, but I thought he was good.
Fair enough. Well, I've had a look at the crowd scores and critic scores, and it's all about the same, very same. So 6.8 IMDb, 65 Metascore. I'm surprised that it wasn't lower. I just don't see what's there for critics to really give it anything above a 6 or a 7. Maybe they just kind of.
I think people wanted to like it.
Yeah, maybe that's it. They went in really just thinking, yeah, you know what?
Yeah, it got a lot more credit than a lot of movies do get. I think people were going into it like, yeah, summer blockbuster, but I don't think it delivered.
Yeah. No, I don't think so too. Well, I think this is a rare review where we're basically both the same. I'm 5 out of 10. What are you about that?
6.
So
yeah. I thought you might be a bit lower, but it sounds like we've kind of felt the same thing. And I think it's maybe what a lot of people thought about it. And even the ones who gave it like a 7, they were just being generous. And if they were honest with themselves, it would be a 6.
Yeah, exactly. Forgettable. At some points, a decent attempt at what they're going for. Budget that's high. It's a higher budget. So, it sucks that there's a lot of effort put into scenes that obviously translate pretty well to camera. It's just the rest didn't come.
There's a section on the Wikipedia article, scientific accuracy. That's not, guys.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah,
that's all right. I assume not. Okay, cool. Well, Twisters. Neither of us really liked it, but we'll come back for another one that is also pretty controversial with Alien Romulus. I think later this week. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And yeah,
or we won't. Like we could just
close your eyes. Don't. Yeah. Too scary. All right. Thanks, Nico.
Thank you, Hack. All right.
Bye, everyone.